So you've installed the custom mini plugin, CMP, and probably made some custom content for it, tried it out, and it works great. So now, how do you use that with your group? How do you distribute the content so that everybody has it, so that CMP can access it? Well, the short answer is CMP doesn't do that. It is up to the group to decide on the manner in which the content will be distributed. And once it is distributed, CMP will be able to make use of it, but CMP itself does not distribute content. If I left it at that, you'd think this audio podcast, or whatever you want to call it, would probably be pretty useless. So let's discuss a few ways that the content could be distributed. These may not be the only ways, but these are some of the common ways that one would distribute the content to the rest of the group to make it available for CMP. The first method is to use Thunderstore. Thunderstore can have mods that include assets, and there are a couple of sample mods like that already in Thunderstore. So if you just want to use those assets, you can tell your players to download the specific packs that you need, and they will get the content that way. Alternatively, you can take your R2 Modman profile and package that up, and if you give that to your players and they use that, it will automatically go to Thunderstore and download all of the plugins that you're using and all of the mods that you have specified, and the players will not have a problem in selecting which plugins are necessary and which packs are necessary. The downside of this is that your game is likely going to have some custom minis, maybe for your PCs, that you don't necessarily want to put onto Thunderstore, and therefore a different solution is required. So one of the other ways that content can be distributed is by zipping up the TaleSpire custom data folder. This folder is a folder that is used by a lot of Lord Ash's plugins, and content that isn't core to the game but is used by plugins is usually placed in this folder or some subfolder of it. So it is possible for the GM to take this folder, zip it up, possibly remove from that folder any assets that are not necessary for the game before zipping it up, and then that zip file can be passed to other players for them to unzip it into the correct location. Once that is done, the content of the custom data, TaleSpire _ custom data folder should be the same, and therefore CMP on all of the machines should be able to access the necessary content. You can take this concept even a step further and then take that zip file and put it somewhere onto a website so that the players can then download that zip file and unzip it into the correct location. That way you don't need to pass around a zip file on a USB stick or email it. Obviously, another way to distribute content is for the GM to just indicate what content needs to exist, and then the players can download from whatever site they want assets that match that, and as long as they name them according to what the GM indicated, again, the CMP will then find that content and use it. This last solution is not usually ideal because it means that players have to do a lot of work, and it also means that the appearance of minis will differ between players because although the content has the same name, the actual appearance may be completely different. However, this solution does have one advantage, and that is for computers that have low processing power. What a player can do is they can get versions of the same content that has a lower poly count. So for example, if the game has an ASMR asset, and it's called ASMR 01, then all the players can have the GM's high poly ASMR 01 asset, but players that have low performance devices can actually get a low poly version of ASMR 01, and they can use that. All the players that have the high performance computers will still be using the high poly count version, so they will have a more detailed looking asset. The player that takes the low poly count version will obviously have less detail, but it might be more suitable for their low-end device. The last way that we'll mention that you can distribute content is to put the content on a website. And now with the latest version of CMP, it can actually use website URLs for the source. This solution, while it means that the assets don't have to be downloaded ahead of time, does have some drawbacks. First of all, it means that the asset is being loaded from the website at runtime, so it could take longer for the asset to transform. And the other disadvantage is that now, instead of typing a nice short little name when you're transforming, you're actually typing a long URL. So if you're using this solution, most likely you'd want to write down the URLs in a notepad or something like that, so that you can very easily paste them in if you're needing to transform at runtime. Obviously, if you've transformed all the minis as part of building the board, then this is not as much an issue.